In the glittering skyline of Seoul, Quan Tea Hyejin had everything people envied: a respected structural engineer, a luxurious apartment overlooking the Han River, a career built before the age of 32. But his life was falling apart. Contracts collapsed at the last moment. Clients withdrew unexpectedly. Construction permits disappeared. Even elevators stopped working whenever he entered them. People joked he carried a curse. First, Tea Hyejin ignored it. Then came the accident. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like, subscribe for more romantic stories, and hit the notification bell. A suspended steel beam crashed only inches from his head during an inspection. His team escaped unharmed, but investors panicked and withdrew from his newest redevelopment project. That night, soaked by rain and frustration, Tea Hyejin wandered through the narrow lantern-lit alleys of Insa Dong and stumbled upon an old fortune teller's shop. Inside sat an elderly woman with silver eyes. She stared at him for a long time before speaking. "You were not born unlucky," she whispered. "Your fortune was separated from you." Tea Hyejin scoffed. But the woman held his hand tightly. "You will find your lucky charm in the form of a woman. A woman. She carries warmth where others carry pride. Stay beside her and your life will bloom again." Tea Hyejin left irritated, until 3 days later. He met Siya, and everything changed. Siya Johnson hated rich men, especially arrogant ones driving expensive black cars through puddles. Unfortunately, the man she screamed at outside the elderly care home happened to be both rich and arrogant. "You almost splashed Mrs. Han," she shouted. Tea Hyejin stepped out of his car, stunned by the furious woman standing before him. She was breathtaking. Dark skin glowing beneath the rain, curly hair tied carelessly into a scarf, warm brown eyes filled with fire. Behind her stood a faded building with a sign reading, "Sunrise Adult Home." Tea Hyejin frowned. This was impossible. The address matched the property included in his newest redevelopment contract. The building scheduled for demolition. "You should apologize," Siya demanded. Tea Hyejin opened his mouth to argue, and suddenly a flower pot fell from the second floor. It should have shattered on his head. Instead, Siya pulled him away instinctively. The pot exploded beside them. Tea Hyejin froze. No accident. No disaster. No bad luck. For the first time in months, nothing went wrong. The old fortune teller's words echoed inside him. "Your lucky charm." He looked at Siya differently after that. And for the first time in years, Quan Tea Hyejin smiled. Siya dedicated her entire life to Sunrise Adult Home. The elderly residents adored her because she treated them like family. She cooked for them, bathed them, read stories to them when insomnia stole their sleep. Even though she struggled financially, she never complained. Her fiancé, Ethan Miller, often did enough complaining for both of them. Ethan was handsome, wealthy, and charming in public, but in private, cold, dismissive, ashamed of her charity work. "You waste your life on old people," he once sneered. Still, Siya stayed loyal, because Siya believed love meant endurance. Then Tea Hyejin entered her life like a storm. At first she found him insufferable, too polished, too observant, too interested in her life. But strange things kept happening around him. Whenever he was near her, a meeting succeeded, contracts reopened, investors returned. Tea Hyejin became obsessed with the connection, so he kept finding excuses to visit Sunrise Adult Home. He repaired broken plumbing, installed safety rails, helped transport residents to hospitals. Slowly, Sia's distrust softened, because unlike Ethan, Tea Hyejin listened, really listened. He remembered residents' names. He noticed when Siya skipped meals. He silently fixed problems before anyone asked. And every time she smiled at him, his chest tightened painfully. because hidden inside his briefcase was the demolition order for Sunrise Adult Home, signed by him. The truth about Ethan arrived cruelly. Siya discovered him in a luxury restaurant kissing another woman. A white woman wearing the engagement bracelet Siya had saved months to buy for herself. The humiliation shattered her. "You embarrass me," Ethan confessed coldly. "You never fit into my world." Siya stood frozen while the restaurant guests watched. But before tears could fall, Tea Hyejin appeared beside her. Without hesitation, he removed his coat and draped it over her shoulders. Then he looked directly at Ethan. "If you cannot recognize her worth," Tea Hyejin said quietly, "you never deserved her." It was the first time Siya saw anger inside him. Not pride, not calculation, protection. That night, Tea Hyejin stayed with her at the riverside park while she cried. No flirting, no touching, just silence and warmth. And somehow, that made her fall harder. Love did not arrive dramatically between them. Came in pieces, in tiny moments. Tea Hyejin learning how Siya took her tea. Siya falling asleep on his shoulder during hospital visits. His fingers brushing hers while washing dishes together. One snowy evening, the electricity failed at Sunrise Adult Home. The elderly residents panicked in darkness. Tea Hyejin spent the entire night fixing generators with frozen hands, while Siya held flashlights beside him. When power finally returned, the residents cheered. Siya looked at him with shining eyes. "You always save us." Tea Hyejin almost broke, because he was the reason they needed saving at all. That same night, Siya kissed him first. Softly, tentatively, like she feared he might disappear. Tea Hyejin kissed her back with years of loneliness buried inside him. And in that moment, his luck no longer mattered. Only Siya did. The secret exploded weeks later. Siya accidentally discovered redevelopment documents inside Tea Hyejin's office. Documents proving Sunrise Adult Home would be demolished for a luxury commercial complex. Signed by Quan Tea Hyejin. Her world collapsed again. "You used me," she whispered. Tea Hyejin tried to explain. At first he had approached her because of the strange luck surrounding her. But somewhere between shared meals and midnight conversations, he had fallen completely in love. "I was trying to stop it," he begged. "But you still lied." The disappointment in her eyes hurt more than hatred. Because Tea Hyejin realized something terrifying. The man Siya loved never truly existed. Not in the beginning. And now he might lose her forever. Tea Hyejin's company gave him one final ultimatum. Destroy Sunrise Adult Home. Or lose everything. Career. Reputation. Future. For the old Tea Hyejin, the choice would have been easy. But Siya had changed him. She taught him kindness without conditions. Love without calculation. Humanity without profit. So for the first time in his life, Tea Hyejin fought back. He exposed corruption inside the redevelopment project, revealed forged safety reports, risked lawsuits and bankruptcy. The company turned against him instantly. News channels painted him as unstable. His apartment was seized, his accounts frozen. Yet through all the chaos, Tea Hyejin felt strangely peaceful. Because this time, he was finally doing something right. Months later, Sunrise Adult Home remained standing. Volunteers and donations poured in after the corruption scandal became public. Tea Hyejin, now unemployed and disgraced among elite corporations, quietly helped repair the building every morning. One spring afternoon, Siya approached him in the garden. "You lost everything," she said softly. Tea Hyejin smiled faintly. "No." He looked at her carefully. "For the first time in my life, I gained something." Tears filled Sia's eyes, because she finally understood. Tea Hyejin's luck had never changed because of magic. It changed because Siya taught him how to live with love instead of fear. She stepped closer and placed his hand against her cheek. "You idiot," she whispered through tears. "You were my lucky charm too." Then she kissed him beneath blooming cherry blossoms, while the elderly residents clapped and cheered from the windows. And for once in Quan Tea Hyejin's life, nothing went wrong. Everything finally fell into place. What was your favorite moment in the story? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to the Tales Unset for weekly dramatic romance stories.